Hi, and good evening, and welcome to the Love Corner. My name is Kimberly Lechnick, and tonight we are going to talk about trauma. What is it, and how can we grow through it? So, ladies, have you experienced patterns in your relationship? Patterns where things keep on showing up for you time and time again. Maybe you are meeting the same person in your dating life. Maybe you are seeing the same person show up from your past in your relationships. But whatever those patterns look like, we're going to talk a little bit about trauma. So, what is it? So, did you know that trauma isn't actually the event that happened? So, maybe you were bullied as a young person. Maybe you experienced maybe being shut down emotionally as a young person. Maybe it was PTSD. Maybe you were in the military and you had a series of traumas, right? So it's the event. But what the trauma actually is more the residue. It's more the residue. And I like this word residue because it is what imprint has been made on our nervous system. That is the actual trauma. So, not just the event, right? But it's that imprint on our nervous system. It's the residue that that event leaves on our nervous system that is the actual trauma. And we're not going to get too deep in it today on this conversation, but I invite you to take a look at the blog post, my latest blog post on trauma, so you can peel back the layers if this resonates with you. Um, if it resonates with you. And so let's talk about a few examples of what that might look like. So let's say when you were younger, there was a lot of yelling and screaming in your home. And so when you're older, it may show up like you're in the office and your boss is using a very domineering, strong tone with you. And then what happens is that imprint, right, that we talked about, that imprint then bubbles up and shows up in our body, right? So it's that feeling kind of resurfaces, right? And you're like, hey, wait a second, if you're not aware, depending on your level of awareness, you think of like you might think it's your actual boss, but essentially it was that experience when you were 6, 7, 8 that is really kind of coming up for you. I had a client that was experiencing patterns in her relationship in regards to her marriage. She was experiencing patterns in her relationship in regards to her partnership with her spouse. And they were not friendly patterns, they were abusive patterns, right? So after she left her marriage and she went to work in the workforce, she started to see those manifestations come up for her with her bosses. So she would continually attract bosses who were treating her the same way her partner treated her, right? So I'm a firm believer that everything that we experience is not by coincidence, but it is divine. And it is teaching us something. So that pattern showing up for us so we can take a look at it. We can be the scientist, the curious scientist that we are, take a look at that pattern and see what it is that it's teaching us. So thank you so much. Those were a couple examples, and I go into this a little bit more deeply in my latest blog post on trauma. So please take a look at that. And I look forward to visiting with you and discussing a new area of relationship where we can learn and grow. Again, knowledge is power when applied. Knowledge is power when applied. So now we know what trauma truly is. It's not just the event, it's the actual imprint on our nervous system. And so it's very important for us to pay attention to our bodies. And I'll leave you with this. I said I was going to go away, but I want to kind of share this as well. So think about your life as a garden. Think about your life in regards being a garden. And think about pulling this out by the root, right? Because when we pull things out by the root, we can sprinkle new seeds in, water it, nourish it with the sun and water and nutrients, and we get a beautiful new plant. But when we do not take the time to pull something out by the root, what happens is we may break something off, but then the root system is still in the ground. And then what we try to do is we sprinkle new seeds on top of the soil and we nourish it and fertilize it and do all of those things. But what happens is our new plant has challenges growing strong. Why? Because we still have that old root system in there. So it's think about this. This is almost like pulling out the root, adding a little antiseptic and killing any bacteria in there and then planting new seeds. Oh my goodness, just a little gardening lesson in terms of relationships tonight. So I'm looking forward to spending some time with you next Monday, where we will explore a new area of relationship and not only get that knowledge, right? But also apply it, right? Pull it out by the root and get that good stuff in your garden. Have a beautiful evening, and I look forward to learning and growing with you very soon. Good night.